This is the Parramatta Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Eels Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, Beau Cook from Loan Market, BTZD, the official apparel partner of the Parramatta Podcast, and the Parramatta Times, the official media partner of the Parramatta Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another cracking episode of the Paracave Podcast. Troy Warner here, and this is the interview-style podcast with a former player or fan of rugby league. And today we are going back to the 80s and early 90s, but mostly the 80s. This gentleman played rugby league for three clubs: the Newtown Jets, the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs, and the club that I love, the Parramatta Eels. Now, he won a premiership at the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs, and he broke every Parramatta Eels fan's hearts in the 84 grand final, scoring the winning try. And that, if I mention that, that'll probably give it away. And that player, of course, is Mr. Mark Bugden. Now, during the chat with Mark, we talk about, obviously, his debut game, in which he scored 2 tries for the Newtown Jets when they were in the competition. And obviously we talk about that grand final victory in 84, also playing at the Bulldogs as well with some legends like Steve Mortimer, Terry Lamb, and also the big man Darryl Broman. And we also talk about his time at the Parramatta Eels, and a little bit of an interesting chat about a famous, I guess you could call a famous footy card that is out and about of Mark Bugden, which I'll post in the socials. But if you know the card that I'm talking about, then it's an interesting little story about that one as well. So that's a great chat with Mark. I really hope you enjoy it. I love talking to the players from the 80s, and also especially the players that played at Parramatta. Now, of course, this wouldn't be at all possible without the help of the sponsors of the podcast. You heard them at the top of the podcast. Major sponsor, Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Eels Club. Beau Cook from Loan Market, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, BTZD Teamwear, the official apparel sponsor of the Paracave Podcast, and the Parramatta Times, the official media partner of the Paracave Podcast. More details about the sponsors and the Paracave Podcast merchandise, which you can purchase now after the chat with Mark. So stay tuned for that info. But that is enough of me talking. So, as Hindy says,
get a beer, coffee, whatever you want.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy, and let's get straight into it.
Yes, good morning. Mark Bugden is my name. I played for junior football Newtown, then got graded Newtown, Canterbury, then went to Parramatta. I'm having a chat this morning to Troy from the Paracave Podcast.
And as you heard from his intro, my guest today on the Paracave Podcast is a former rugby league player for the Newtown Jets, the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs, and also the club that I love, the Parramatta Eels. And he knows that he probably broke all of our Para fans' hearts in the 84 grand final by scoring that winning try. Welcome to the Paracave Podcast, Mr. Mark Bugden.
Yes, good morning, Troy. How are you?
Not too bad. Thank you very much for joining me. Now, growing up with big brother Geoff, was rugby league always the sport that was played in the household?
No, not really. We first started off playing soccer, and as you did, you always followed your big brother. So Mum and Dad said, no, we're not driving all around the countryside on a Saturday morning. We're going to football. You've got to play soccer with your brother. So, okay, no, so I played the lower grade. We played soccer for a number of years. That would have been from about 6 or 7, I think it was. And then And then probably about 12, 13 went over and started playing rugby league, yeah.
And then who did you support back in the day, and who were your favourite
Ooh.
players to watch?
Geez, I don't know, as a kid, mate, back in the day, I always had a soft spot for Newtown, being a local in
Yep.
the area, but I think I just can't remember, but I think as you did playing with kids down the park, I think I barracked for Eastern Suburbs for some reason. I don't know why. Many years ago, mate.
Yeah, fair enough. And then, obviously, you mentioned they're playing in the Newtown Junior League. Was it a simple case of making your way through the grades there and then signing with Newtown?
It wasn't simple. It wasn't simple. It was Troy was pretty. Well, you had to really train hard and play. I started playing with a side called Marrickville RSL, and they were obviously in the Newtown Junior Comp, and then I played Jersey Flag, and I came up through the grades and played against Mario Fennick the whole time. He was in Jersey Flag.
Yeah.
And then Jersey Flag, and then and up you go, and you just keep playing. But Geoff was a big strapping young fella, and he got picked for grade very early in the day, and I just said, look, I want to be like him, so just kept trying hard. Yeah.
Well, you actually made Newtown first grade, and your debut was against the Dragons. It's pretty memorable one, I'd say, scoring 2 tries in your debut game.
Funny you talk about that, Troy. Unbelievable. That was the year that they made Newtown made the grand final. I think it was 1981, and I played a couple of replacement games, just come on and got a bit of a feel. But that was my first full game that Warren picked. Warren Ryan was the coach, and he gave a lot of the young blokes, including myself, a go, because I suppose in the back of his head, well, if he lost the game, it didn't really matter because they were still in the finals. It was Final 5 back then. Anyway, yeah, mate, and I'm just trying to think of the hooker. They asked me all the time. I'm just trying to think, mate, he played for Brisbane, mate, champion bloke, and he just said to me, back in the day, being a hooker, you'd always want to know the scrum count, and he beat me something like 12-2. That was when fair dinkum was scrums, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he said, and he just came up to me after the game, and he said, mate, what are you doing after the game? You better come home and have a beer. I said, mate, I'll be there, don't worry about it. And we went over to St George Loose Club, and we must have packed 1,000 scrums downstairs, you know what I mean? But he showed me a lot of things, and I learned so much that afternoon from him. It was unbelievable.
John Dowling was his name.
That's him? Correct.
Yep. There we go.
Yep.
Yeah, that was his name.
Yep.
Well, you spent 3 years at the Jets before they exited the comp in 83. What were your favourite memories of playing at the Newtown Jets?
Oh, mate, they were a good, hard club, mate. It was, you're a junior there. All you wanted to do was play for Newtown. As soon as we finished junior football, we'd run straight up and Henson Park and watch the big boys play, including my brother. It was a good club, but in the end, they just couldn't keep up with the way the league was going, money wise and whatever. And I stayed right to the death in 1980. And they just said, mate, we're not here next year, 84. And I just said, oh, geez, what am I going to do? I got a few offers.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a few offers. I got, because Frank Franklin was a good bloke. He said, mate, I can get you started at Manly and South. And straight away, being an Newtown boy, no one goes to Manly. They were the Silvertails. They were
the arch enemy.
I'm not going, arch enemy. I said, mate, and Silvertails, because they had all the money. I said, no, I'm not going to Manly, Frank. And South, just want to, he's the golden head boy there. I'm not going to push him out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I got a phone call. I thought my was over. And Warren Ryan gave me a call and said, mate, come over for Canterbury for a year. So I just went over, virtually on nothing. And it was 1984. And mate, I was lucky. I just played me hard, and that's what I say to young blokes today. Just play your heart out, train hard, and you never know what opens, and a door opens. And mate, I was lucky. I ended up playing half the year, first grade, and made the grand final as well, which is no issue. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess training hard played off because you had Billy Johnston at the club at the time, and yourself as well. So I guess that battle each week of trying to compete for the top hooking spot each week must have been pretty tough.
It is, and when you look at the sides back in 84, 80, even 85 of Canterbury, you had a first grade side in reserve grade, and the thing was a hooker, mate. You get one shot at it. It's like a fullback. They can push him into the centres or the wing or second row. You got two spots, and some of them play prop. So if you're going good, they're going to make room for you. But hooker, mate, there's only one spot.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And back in the day, mate, you had to fight for everything. I'm talking about in that scrum, not physically fighting the other hooker to get that ball, because that ball was, and that ball was paramount. And to win one against the food, that was like you scored a try. Do you know what I mean? That's how competitive it was back in the day in them scrums, mate. I tell you, unbelievable. And let me tell you, it's not for the faint-hearted one of those scrums either. I tell you, there was, you could learn a lot about the dictionary in those scrums, mate. Let me tell you.
Yeah, the good old days.
Oh, mate.
Who was your toughest hooking opponent that you had during your career?
Oh, mate, that's a good question. Jeez, it was hard back then, mate. They had, you had Elias. He was very good. He was good in open play. He was good in the scrums. You had, I should have thought about this, but mate, yeah, there was a lot of good hookers around at that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, and that pack that you played in at Canterbury, they described it as the Dogs of War, with such names as Gillespie, Kelly, Langmack, Folks, Tunks. Right. Is that the toughest pack that you played in?
The toughest pack I've played with, I would have hated to play against is Fettingham, because, mate, and we used to train literally for that, as in defence-wise, mate. We would do, you would be sick of it, Troy, on a Tuesday or Thursday night, an hour tackling bags, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we go in and punch the bag. Not so much for fighting, but for physically, your breathing, your everything about your stamina.
Yeah,
fitness. We had big, heavy bags in there, and I'm telling you, and this is the gospel truth. My brother Geoff, he used to, because we're still good mates, we get on and whatever. But he used to say back in the day, John Money would say, mate, we're playing Canterbury on Sunday, and we're going to get hurt. I used to laugh at that. I go, yeah, well, mate, you take the paddock first grade, you were going to get hurt anyway. Sorry, you tried not to get hurt. You didn't have that in mind, but sometimes you got hurt. But when I say you got up Monday morning, even though you might have, but you finished the game or whatever, you got up Monday morning and you were that sore from the hits and the bruises and bumps. I tell you, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, that's for sure. Who was the toughest pack that you did play against in those days?
Oh, mate. Yeah, mate, look, Parramatta were up there. Manly was up there. They had some hard heads. Souths, they had some real hard heads, like, Roberts and blokes like that. Mate, I'd have to really just go through it and refresh my memory. But I tell you, geez, there were some hard fellas, And like what I'm saying, like I was only young, but and they're grown men, mate. And there's no backward steps, Like you either played hard or you bowed out, one of the two.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, 2 weeks before that 1984 grand final, the Bulldogs beat the Eels in the major semi.
Yep.
Did you think then that the team and yourself had the confidence that you were going to beat the Eels and end that Eels dominance?
Well, we knew they were the guns, you know what I mean, and we had to beat them to make the grand final. And the thing was, Warren Ryan's philosophy back in the day, a lot of people bag him because we weren't scoring tries and whatever, but his big thing was defence. Yeah. They don't score, we kick a field goal, we win 1-0,
Yeah.
That's a hard look at it. But he dominated in defence, you know what I mean? And most people you talk to from other teams, they just say that you just couldn't break our line, and that's a pretty good statement to make, if you can't break our line when they're not going to score, are they? The only way they try to do is go over the top, with the bombs and all that type of thing, or kicking over the top, as happened in the 80, I think it was the 86 grand final when Sigsworth went high on Brett Kenny, I think it was, and got sent off.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sort of showed, didn't it? I mean, the 84 grand final was 6-4, 85 was 7-6, 86 was 4-2, so very defence-orientated games, those ones.
Oh, Troy, for sure. And you look back at it and don't quote me for first say, but they changed the rule because of 1-on-1. Because what you would do, you would on the fifth tackle you keep them in their in goal, then they've got to kick back here. Then you go for another 6 tackles. So then I think they changed the rule. If you died in goal, you got the ball back, tap now. Is that right? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think that was in after the 85 grand final. I think it was.
Yeah, okay, well there you go. They changed it because Warren's philosophy was, mate, you have good defence, you keep them up into their in goal. They've got to kick back to you. We get another 6, set of 6, you know.
Yeah, that's it. Well, just mentioning Warren Ryan there, you had him as a coach at Newtown and also the Canterbury.
Yes.
And he's one of the smartest coaches that rugby league has ever seen. What was he like as a coach for yourself in your career?
Yeah. Oh, look, if you didn't learn off Warren Ryan back in the day, when like that era, mate, there was something wrong there. And he just lived, breathed, and you know, you weren't in the sheds that much doing stuff on whiteboards and whatever. You do a little bit, but you're out there and you'd show you on the paddock, you know what I mean? And you'd come up with these moves. And, you know, back in the day, you'd work on one side of the – like I watch the game now, but, I mean, it's totally different, as you know. Yeah. But he'd work from one side of the field just past the post, right? So then what happened back in the day, the centres then used to have to come round. So what you got is yours, and then you have a backline shot. So your backline shot is going up forward, playing against lazy forwards, or tired forwards. So you got your real fast backs up against the slow forwards. You know what I mean? And that was his philosophy. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then the fifth tackle, kick and chase, and away you go.
Yeah, no, very successful.
He was a very master's man at it, mate. Very good. And he used to sit behind the goalpost. When you're watching another two teams play, he'd sit behind the goalpost. He wouldn't sit up in the box up the top or in the grandstand. He'd sit behind the goalpost, and he'd say, that's how you watch a game, going from one side to the other. But today's a different story. It doesn't go that way, you know what I mean? And if you ever zigzag back then, it was a blatant sin, mate. You go and play reserve grade, you know?
Yeah. Oh, well, probably Zip Ella would probably be not welcome in that team then. And
mate, he was fantastic. The Zip man, and a good bloke too. You know, when I went to Parramatta, mate, and quick. Geez, he was quick. So same as the Guru, mate. You know, they were finishers. You know, yeah. I heard him say there the other day. I listened to him on that Talking Sport. Guru, he said he got a bit slow there, and that's what happens. And you'll probably ask me a question later on, but I'll talk about that. That's what happened with hookers, mate. They put halfbacks into hookers because they changed the game again.
Yeah, that's it. Well, let's go back to that 84 grand final and that moment where you scored that try and broke our Eels fans' hearts. Is that the greatest moment of your career and one that you look back on quite fondly?
Yeah, Troy, it's up there. Look, people say, the only reason I scored because Ray Price was down. Look, back then, I didn't even know who. You don't know who's down, you don't know who's not there. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things where I dummied to the left, take off to the right, and there was no one there. I couldn't believe it. And Sterlo was coming across, and he was too late. Yeah, they thought the ball was going wide. You see what I mean? And I went blindside, and mate, it just opened up like Sydney Heads. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's for sure. And beat Paul Taylor as well for pace as well.
Yeah, well, he
was
a
good defender.
He was second mark or just at the back there or something, and mate, just zip past him. But having said that too, as I said, back to the training days when I was training, no one could beat me in 10 metres, getting up off the ground, bang, sprinting. We used to do a lot of that. You'd lay on your back, and the trainer would go bang, go, and you'd sprint 10 to 20 metres to start, and then work back in 10 metres, and he'd just flog you with the sprints. You know what I mean? Yeah. Up off the deck, bang. You know what I mean? And I think that's what helped me. Well, I believe that's what helped me because, just over that first 10, 15 minutes, like blokes like Guru and Zip, man, mate, they were fantastic over 100. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was never a forwards go, but over that first 10 metres, big difference, you know?
That's it. Well, one of your teammates in that game and one of my favourite characters in the game of rugby league these days was the big man, Darryl Broman.
Oh, yeah.
Now, not many young listeners wouldn't know of his playing ability, but what was it like playing with the big man, Darryl Broman?
Yeah, mate, he wasn't the best of trainers, and he'll tell that to anyone. You know what I mean? That's why they call him the big man. He's a big man, all right. But he wasn't the best of trainers. Didn't like training. But I tell you, you put him out in that field, and he just had the ability to hold passes up, take tackle, and 2 or 3. Because he's a big man, he'd bring 2 or 3 in and just offload that ball. He was very good and could go left or right. You know what I mean? Either and just hold that ball, pop the ball up, as they say back in the day. You don't see a lot of that now. I suppose sometimes you do, yeah, where they grapple in the tackle and then you get offloaded. But this was running to the line, bringing 2 or 3 defenders in, and then offloading to someone coming up. And if you hung back off Darryl Bowman, and even Phil Gould was another one,
Yep.
You'd pick up a loose ball for sure, you know?
That's it, and any good hooker would be backing up, that's for sure.
That's it, yeah.
Now, doing some research for this chat, and 1985 was a bit of a strange season for yourself, wasn't it? It said that you played for 2 clubs, and there was also a 14-match suspension in there.
Played for 2 clubs? No, I don't know how that comes out.
Okay, yeah. Well, that one's wrong then. My research is wrong, but...
Yeah, no, because I went to Canterbury in 84, and I was there till I went to Parramatta in 89.
Okay, yeah. Well, the research is wrong, but
it wasn't a good year, Troy, for the total fact that had that mishap with Steve Rogers. There was no malice in it. A lot of people say because they love Steve Rogers, and he was an absolute legend. You know what I mean? It was just misfortune. Peter, if anyone wants to watch the tackle, Peter Kelly goes low. I'm committed to the tackle. It doesn't look as great. But the tackle's only illegal from the elbow down, right? That's the illegal part. The shoulder is not illegal, yes. But the thing is, he falls at the time that I go in for the tackle, and that's why it looks very high, you know what I mean? And usually, Troy, when a tackle like that happens, an all-in brawl starts or someone gets up and king hits me or belts me for doing a head-high shot, a blatant head-high shot, the play went on. Yeah. The play continued on. That usually you get, at the very least, you get the referee go, I've seen that number 12, blah, 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 we'll talk about that in the next break or something like that. Play continued on. Now, at the end of the game, we won the game. It was the very first game, it was at Belmore Oval, in the very first game in 1985, first grade game.
Yep.
Not my first grade, sorry, it was the very first grade game of the year. And then they go, oh, bugger, you've had a good game, but you got some issues. And I go, what do you mean? And everyone sort of starts laughing, thinking, And I said, what are you talking about? Oh, come on, you clocked Steve Rogers. And I went, what's happened? He said, he's in a bit of a bad way. So I tried to go to the room next door, the dressing room next door to see him, and they wouldn't let me. I won't tell the whole story there.
Yeah.
They, virtually told me, kick me out, get going. I wanted to see him, because he was a legend, you know what I mean? And it was a blatant accident. And then, the rest is history, mate.
And that must have been tough to sit out 14 weeks.
Oh, mate, it was unbelievable. Like you've just done the off-season fight and fit training. You're ready to play them. First game we win, and then I get suspended. You know what I mean? I don't think it was 14. I think it might have been 12 weeks because Gibbs from Bob Cooper from West got the most. I think he was 14 weeks.
Oh, okay, yep.
Just double check that anyway.
Yeah, we'll do. Well. In 86, you're in another grand final for the Bulldogs against the Eels.
It was against my brother too.
Yeah, how was that? First of all, what was it like playing against your brother throughout your career?
Man, look, we always had a good relationship, but he was the big brother. He was the I'm in control type thing, and mate, he would never let me. Never let me get past or anything like that. And there was always a clock on the chin or something, you know what I mean? It was funny, it was good, but it was good hard footy, mate, you know what I mean?
What about the family? Who were they supporting when you guys played against each other?
Mum and Dad were both there and whatever, but they just said, may the best team win, you know what I mean? They can't go against either, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it was, mate, fantastic, absolutely. To play against your brother like throughout the year, but then to play in the grand final, you know what I mean? And just get beat. There was no try scored in that grand final, from memory. Is that right? Yeah.
They're 4-2, 2 goals to Croydon and 1 to Terry Lamb.
But see, people that love footy should watch the game from start to finish. That was a very hard physical game. But in the eyes of the people, they want to see tries. And I understand that. I totally understand. But you can still have a good game of football without any tries scored. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely was, again, another defence-orientated game, and there were so many different moments in that game. There was, I think, Steve Mortimer got taken out by Sterlo.
Yeah, that's right.
There was obviously the Phil Sigsworth sent-off.
Yep.
There was the 2 tries disallowed to Brett Kenny.
Yep.
There was the forearm on Mick Delroy from Andrew Farrar. There was certainly a lot going on in that game.
And then one bit that lives in my memory, Troy. This is the first time I've spoken about it. Was right on the bell. Right now, when I say right on the bell, I'm at dummy half and I take off. We've still got about 3 or 4 tackles to go.
Yep.
But Paul Dunn would say to me, "Bugger, if you passed the ball out wide, we had him out wide, we would have scored." Oh yeah, no worries. So, But people don't realise, back in the day, they stopped the clock 5 minutes to go. You don't know how long you got.
Yeah,
you
that's
remember?
it.
See, a lot of people, I've never heard people say that, Troy, but that's as you know, they stopped the clock 5 minutes to go to stop the kids running on the field because they watch the clock. Now they don't. The players can watch it right to the last 10 seconds. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you know exactly how long you got to go. We did not know how long we got to go, so I thought I'd have another shot from dummy half. I got within millimetres again. And then the siren goes.
I remember that.
So people go, "Oh, you should have passed it out." But I said, "Yeah, well, okay, we still have plenty of tackles to go." But I didn't know nobody knew when the siren was going to go because they stopped the clock.
Yeah, and I think you had pretty much the entire Parramatta side on top of you as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why they said, "Oh, we could have gone out wide. Would have been ideal. If there was another minute to go, I could have got up, played the ball, screwed it wide." But who knows? The rest is history. So, you still might never have scored, you know what I mean? But, yeah, it just gives me the shits a little bit when one of my own 2 players bagged me for going from dummy half. But anyway.
Yeah, that's it. That must have been tough, as you said, with the clock not going down and not knowing how long to go. And
no, people don't remember that. Where they
thought you saw an opportunity and wanted to go for it. Well, you had a good season in 87, and then Phil Gould comes as coach in 1988.
Yep.
Was it? What was it like having Phil as a coach? Because he had not long retired from playing, and you played with him.
Yeah, played with him. He was my roommate in the end-of-season trip when we went overseas.
Okay. Any interesting Gus stories from the overseas trips?
Yeah, there's a few. I don't know if I can repeat them though. Maybe over a couple of beers at a club somewhere. But mate, yeah, it was different. He was only young, but he had a lot of Warren Ryan in him, plus his own ideas. You know what I mean? He would never say that, but he had a lot of Warren Ryan in him, and it was still them days how hard it was and whatever. But the problem I had, Troy, in 1980, it wasn't a problem as such, but I'm getting on a little bit and whatever. And I had the opportunity to join the police force. Right now,
okay.
I could have joined years ago, but I kept putting it off and off and off. Anyway, long story short, the sergeant was a good bloke, and we're old school, right? I'm a lot older than you, probably, Troy, but we're old school. He's gone, mate. I said, no, Sarge. Look, I'm not going in now, down the academy now. I'm playing first grade football, mate. I'm enjoying it. I said, I'm going at the end of the year, December, whenever, you know what I mean? I'll go at the end of the year, but I'm not going now. He goes, mate, if you don't go now, they're changing the whole system. It's going to a university type thing, and you're in there for 6 months, blah, blah. Okay. Now I was only going there for 12 weeks, see?
Okay.
And I've gone, oh, right. So I went and seen Peter Moore, and, mate, that club was sensational. They supported me. I went down to Goulburn Monday morning, came back Friday night. I trained hard, but I missed the initial training through the week, right? So they said, you're in the hands of the coaches. So 1 week I'm in reserve grade, 1 week I'm on the bench for first grade. That's when they had the 2 fresh reserves, the start of the year, the 2 fresh reserves.
Yep.
And so 1988 wasn't a good year, and I lost my first grade spot to Joey Thomas. But I still played the last 20 minutes on the grand final in 88, which Phil Gould gave me a shot at it, which was good of him. So I'm pretty happy.
Not many of the younger listeners would know that back in the day, first grade footballers used to have a job as well to supplement their football income. So I guess with yourself joining the police force, that was, I guess, a thing of looking after yourself after football. Is that right?
That's correct. That's totally correct, Troy. I was late. I think I was around 28, 29 or something like that. And I thought, well, I've got to have life after football. And and like them, mate, we weren't getting as money that they're getting now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And you had to have a second job. So I thought, well, here's my opportunity. I can't throw it away. And it cost me my first grade spot. But yeah, that's how it was, mate. That's how that ended that year. But I still overall, I was pretty happy with the way things panned out.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. With Joey Thomas there taking your hooking spot, was that the reason then to change clubs and join up with your brother Geoff?
Yeah,
at the Eels?
So. He spoke to me and we had a bit of a chat, blah, blah, blah. And he said, Dennis Fitzgerald wants to have a chat to you. I said, all right, no worries. Went and had a chat to Dennis Fitzgerald. And I went and signed for a couple of years at Parramatta. Now, when I went to Parramatta, Mick Mosley was there, and we've been battling against one another the whole time. And mate, I was pretty happy. He started the year, and I played reserve grade and did my best. Same deal. And I took next step. And I really don't know. I should talk to Mick. I don't really know. Once Mick, I think Mick finished that year. I don't know, but I never seen him again after that. But what happened then to me, Troy, was I played that whole year. That was under John Maney, mate. He was a great coach too, mate. And what happened then? You might recall, I'm getting a bit slower, getting a bit older, and what they did, they started putting halfbacks into hooker.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
And that was the end of me, mate. As soon as they started putting halfbacks into hooker, and you get the fast, quick young blokes, I totally understand that, Rob. It was bye. That's the end of the old hooker, mate. And they changed the scrums, as you know, all that type of thing. You weren't fighting for the scrum. It was just the hooker. Sorry, the halfbacks were playing hooker. Mate, that was it. That was the end of the old scrums, mate.
Yeah, that was 1989 was Michael Mosley's last season in rugby league. But it must have been good to know that even though they were coming towards the end of their careers, to be in the same side as Brett Kenny and Peter Sterling must have been pretty cool.
It was, mate. It was fantastic. Like at Canterbury, you got Terry Lamb and Steve Mortimer. At Parramatta, you got Sterlo, Brett Kenny, you got Ella, mate. You got Grafe on the wing, mate. Absolutely fantastic side, mate. Oh, mate, speed to burn.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think one or both of them should be immortals of rugby league, Sterlo and Kenny. I mean, you obviously, as you just said, played with Terry Lamb and Steve Mortimer, both also champion players. But do you have a thought about who should be a next immortal of rugby league?
No, there's obviously a criteria for that, Troy. I don't know, and obviously you're a mad Parramatta man. I totally understand why you would say that about Sterlo. But then who do you pick? Sterlo, Kenny? Who goes first? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Kenny and Sterlo, mate, they're up there, and Grafe and Ella. You know what I mean? And you also got Ray Price, and blokes like that, But it's the same at Canterbury, You got Terry Lamb is an absolute legend, and so was Steve Mortimer,
Yeah,
there's criteria for all that, and I don't know how they determine that, and yeah.
I must think, though, that packing down with your brother in the front row, I can't think of anyone else who's done that in rugby league before.
That was fantastic, yeah. Mate, I had Lou Berta holding me up, and Geoff was strike side quite with me, mate. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Is there any sneaky comments from hooker, knowing that your big brother was there on your side?
Oh no! But you just knew that he had me back, and I had his, so to speak, and whatever. And that's what I say was fantastic. And then once they changed the whole scrum aspect of it, mate. Yeah, I don't know, mate. I was, a really sad day for rugby league when they did all that.
Was it ever interesting when you joined Parramatta, knowing that you beat them 5 years earlier in the grand final, or was that just all water under the bridge by then?
I got the rude comment now, blah blah blah, and you got us in '84, blah blah blah. Now you come over to join us, and I said, yeah, well that's what happens, Mate, it was all good, yeah.
Yeah. Was it tough but joining Parramatta? Because at that stage they were probably struggling a little bit, and you'd come from a recently successful club in Canterbury.
Yeah, that's a good point, Troy. That's exactly right. It was very hard to leave Canterbury. I could have stayed there, but Geoff was going, no, come over to Parramatta, and we'll see how things go, and blah blah. It made a very hard decision at the time, and I'd actually moved out to Penrith to live as well. So
okay.
I was in the police force at Penrith, so that sort of changed it a bit too. I was only just straight down the highway to Parramatta, and so a lot of things. You got to weigh up a lot of things, and then you just go in the end. But once you make your decision, it's 100 mile an hour,
Yeah. Well, living in Penrith, I'm glad I didn't come across you when you were in the police force. So I must have been a good boy. So.
Were you living out there, were you?
Yeah, I still do. I still do.
Oh, yeah, good man. Yeah. I was out there in the police. I was out there in 1988 to I think 2000 or something. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
we never we never crossed paths, which was good.
Good thing.
Yeah, that's it. What were your favourite memories of playing at Parramatta?
Oh, geez. You put me on the spot there, just trying to think, mate, quickly. But the best things, mate, was Brett Kenny, Sterlo, and Growth, mate, and Ella, mate. They were just fantastic. Even Paul Taylor, mate, he was unbelievable. But Brett Kenny used to walk around the dressing sheds making these funny noises with his hands, and mate, it was so funny. But he was so much of a larrikin, like as a laugh and a joke before you go on the field. I'm talking about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
As soon as you run on the field, completely changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, it was so funny. We'd go away, Bert, go away, leave us alone. He's making these funny noises like you're trying to, rev yourself up for the game. And then as soon as he got on, mate, completely changed,
Yeah, that's it. Well, one question I got is from a gentleman called the Duckman. He's from Pulse FM, 89.9 FM, and he asked, there's a footy card of yourself, I think it's from 1990.
I know what you're going to say, yeah.
Yeah, the one with the frog.
Yeah, cane toad it was, mate.
Yeah, cane toad. Okay.
Yeah. That would have been up at Townsville, one of them games up there, yep.
That's certainly an interesting footy card to have a cane toad in there.
Yeah, do you know what, Troy? This is what sort of it doesn't piss me off, but you joke around at games. You're trying to relax before a game or whatever. Now this is just before reserve grade or whatever. We've got the Parramatta team shirt on and whatever. We're sitting in the crowd watching the reserve grade play and whatever, and and then I don't know, it might have jumped along or something. Look at that! So I grabbed it up, picked it up. And then some reporter snaps it. And next thing you know, what a thing to put on a footy card. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? I see that. People ask me that question all the time. And you tell him, mate, it was just one of those things where, like, imagine the poor buggers today. They've got people snapping and they've got people taking photos. Because everyone's got a camera today, haven't they,
Yeah.
But back then, that was just... I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Do you know what I mean? Just picking it up, joking, and then it's on it. Why would you put that on a footy card?
I know. I'm just looking at some of your other footy cards here, and it's all of you in action, passing the ball and running the ball, and it's certainly one of a kind.
I'm glad you brought that up, mate. I do not understand that. Why would you put that on a footy card? Is that to make a gig of me, or what?
Yeah, you'd have to go back to the footy card company, I think, and find out what's going on there, because that's certainly one of a kind, that's for sure.
Oh, shit, yeah, 100%, mate. But I still think it's got something to do with these reporters, and probably didn't like me and said, look at this goose with the cane toad, you know what I mean?
Do you still watch a bit of footy these days?
I do, Troy.
Do you
as I
enjoy
say,
it?
But can I tell you, I'm saddened by it. Look, I love the game. I was in the game for a long while, as I said, a junior coming up through the ranks, and I love to see young blokes having a go. But it's just a different game now.
Yep.
I can't get into it. I really can't get into it. This gang tackling, and they're big boys, they're massive boys, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the training they do and whatever. I don't know, but I still watch a bit of it, but I don't watch a lot of it, if you know what I mean.
Do you support a team that you played for, or you just support the game?
I still support the Doggies, you know what I mean? And I like watching Para play as well. Obviously, Newtown are gone. But they're in the Metro Cup, whatever it is. But I watch the Doggies, and they're struggling. Look, you know, it's how they can spend all this money or whatever and come close to last again is beyond me. It's just it must be so hard, you know what I mean? And look at poor old Parra, you know, they haven't been there since 1986, and they get within the 8, and then the wheels fall off, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sad, mate. Sad.
We'll get there one day. Do you get to many club reunions at all?
Yes, I'm a stickler for that.
Okay.
I'm a stickler for that. Well, I haven't had many since the COVID, whatever. But I went to Canterbury's first one this year, probably a couple of months ago now.
Yeah.
I miss Paris. Always getting invited. I'm part of the blue and gold team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nice.
And and get all their emails. And I just haven't had a chance to get down there. Sort of COVID sort of put things on hold, but yeah.
Always good to catch up with former teammates and have a few yarns.
Mate, it is. And you talk about the old days, like we're talking about now, yep. 100%.
That's it. Well, time for some common league questions. Other than your home ground, did you have a favourite ground that you used to love to play at?
Oh, good question. Yeah, look, and there's one for you. Now, I remember playing at Parra's old ground when I was at Newtown.
Yeah.
Cumberland Oval.
Yeah.
Before they burned it down. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I remember playing there. That was unbelievable. Loved the old Hanson Park. Loved Belmore Sports Ground. Yeah, look, I don't know. You can't go back. I hear them talk about that. You can't go past the old football grounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I reckon it's better to fill the ground. I reckon it's better to fill the ground than just put half of them in there like they do today. You know?
Yeah. Who was the hardest player to tackle?
Ooh, mate. Not that I ever got out there. A couple of times, Grove. And do you remember the big long-legged fella from Parramatta? What was his name? Oh, can you remember? Going back.
What position?
He had real big long legs, and he played in the centres out there too. Phil Mann.
Okay. Yeah. Spider.
Another hard one to get hold of, but you really. But that was back in the day when you sort of had to go around the legs and whatever. And if you tried to go in around the legs, you end up getting knees and elbows and everything. Man.
Now this one will be an interesting one because most of the players that I talk to give the answer of one of your teammates, but in your opinion, who was the hardest hitter? Who got you a good one?
Yeah, they'd be talking about Gillespie or Kelly.
Yeah.
Gillespie, mate, he was something else. That's why they called him Cement, although he come from out west there on the past Dubbo, just trying to think, Narromine.
Yeah.
Mate, they used to call him Cement. Mate, when he used to hit, and you could hear him, you know, like you could hear blokes bloody moan when they got hit, you know, and it was, yeah.
I think Andy Raymond said that there was a reason why he didn't do 48 tackles a game because people were running away from him. Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah, you didn't want to get hit by him because if he hit you in the rib cage, mate, you'd be out of breath, mate. And I've seen blokes, you know, laying on the ground after you hit them, you know what I mean? And you go, oh, geez, you know, and you just keep playing.
That's it. Who was the player that you saw on the other side of the dressing room getting ready for a game and you thought, yeah, we're on here today, we're going to win? Who gave you that confidence?
In our dressing room, who gave us the confidence?
Yeah.
Oh, mate. Yeah, look, mate, hard. Like, you know, Steve Mortimer was a good captain. He drilled it, and you could look in the bloke's eyes and you go, mate, we're in for a game here. But I tell you, it was just fantastic stripping down, getting off that table, putting your shorts on and your socks and boots. You know, we're going out to play footy today. It's going to be a hard game. It's going to be a good game. But, geez, you've got the blokes behind you that are going to really win it for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, is there a player that you wanted to play with but didn't get the opportunity at all? Because you played with some champion players.
Yeah. No, that's a good question, Troy. I don't think so. I'd have to think about that, but I don't think so. I played with a lot of good players, and I was very fortunate, you know, to be in some good sides, and, you know, being in 3 grand finals is unbelievable, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's for sure. What about today's game? Would there be a player in today's game that you'd love to have an opportunity to play with?
Oh,
who excites you in today's game?
There's probably a few, isn't there? That's another good question. I should ask me this and I could have wrote down and thought about it. But yeah, look, there's a lot of good players out there today, you know. But there again, it's a different style of footy, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
completely
different.
I'd answer that one, Troy.
That's all right. That's all right. And if you didn't go down the playing football path, what do you think you would have ended up doing as a career?
Oh, mate. If I didn't go down that path, geez, I reckon I could have been in a lot of trouble. I probably wouldn't have been able to join the police force. I might have gotten a lot of trouble, mate. Being around the old Newtown area, mate, back in the day.
Yeah, very.
Keeps a lot of kids off the streets and keeps them active because you got to train 3 and 4 nights a week. You know what I mean? You're not out and about. You're not out and drinking and carrying on. And mate, footy is a great thing, and it's a team sport. It's not just like tennis, you know, one-on-one type of thing. It's a team sport, and you got to, you know, interact with your mates and get on with your mates and back your mates, you know.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, time for the quick top 10, which is basically sort of a one answer or the other. You can elaborate on it a little bit if you want to, but we'll start off with cats or dogs.
Dogs.
Ford or Holden?
Holden, man.
Yeah. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. Tea or coffee?
I drink both, but I have one tea in the morning and about 4 coffees the rest of the day.
Ah, nice. What's your coffee go-to? What type of coffee do you have?
Oh, cappuccino, mate.
Yep, nice. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Rambo or Rocky?
Oh, jeez. Mate, Rocky was sensational. Love that movie.
Yeah, what's your favourite Rocky movie? Which one?
I think the first one when it shows him just coming from the slums and doing his best, and mate, and a great fight at the end there. Yeah, he never stayed down, mate. It's like football. Just keep fighting, mate. You never know. Yep.
That's it. Peanut butter or Vegemite?
Oh, Vegemite, man, love it.
Morning or night person?
Mate, these days as you get older, I don't need an alarm clock. I'm up early all the time, 6 o'clock.
Yeah. Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Seinfeld.
Not that I drink that, it's full of sugar. Yeah, go.
Seinfeld or Friends?
Seinfeld.
Yeah. Great show. Who's your favourite Seinfeld character?
Oh, jeez. You put me on the spot. I don't know. I like them all, mate. It's good.
Great show. All right, we'll wrap things up with a set of 6 questions, bit of personality questions. What's your favourite sport outside of rugby league?
Favourite sport outside of rugby league? Oh, jeez. Good question. Don't know, mate. I still like playing a bit of touch footy or doing something like that. Yeah, or a bit of boxing training. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
I like watching the boxing. Yeah.
Yeah. Favourite holiday destination?
Oh, anywhere in the North Coast, mate. I like Queensland, north, up where the warm weather is.
Yeah, not bad. Who would be the most famous person you'd love to meet and have a chat with?
Oh, geez, that's a good question. Maybe Sylvester Stallone, Rocky, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'd be a great chat. Which 3 former players wouldn't you want to be on a deserted island with and why?
Wouldn't want to be?
Yeah. Who wouldn't you want to be stuck with?
Oh, mate, you put me on the spot. Geez, I don't know. Langmack, he talk your ears off, Paul Langmack. Peter Tunks, he'll tell you everything about everything in life.
Okay,
Sterla'd have the shits because he's deserted on and on.
Fair enough. What's your specialty dish in the kitchen or on the barbecue?
Oh, barbecue, mate. Barbecue, yeah. Nice steak on the barbecue. Can't beat it.
Yeah, how do you have your steak?
Medium,
Yeah,
mate. Yeah.
nice.
A little bit of blood coming out. No, don't it?
And who's your favourite musician or band to listen to?
Oh, mate, I like a bit of U2.
Yeah.
U2, but yeah. But Billy Joel, mate. Can't beat the old Piano Man.
Yeah, that's it. Is that your favourite Billy Joel song,
Yeah.
Piano Man?
Yeah, mate, yeah.
Yeah, nah, classic. You two are currently doing a big show in Las Vegas, I think, where the rugby league is going to go next year.
Yep.
How do you think rugby league will go in America next year?
I don't think it's a good thing. I reckon that it's cost them a lot of money. I reckon they should have spent more out here with the junior footy and all that type of thing, and promote it out in our country, mate. But I can understand what they're doing, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think it's a lot of money that they could have been spent elsewhere.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. Well, Mark Bugden, thank you very much for joining me today on the Parrot Cave podcast. I really enjoyed going down memory lane, and you played for the club that I love, Parramatta, and you also broke my heart against Parramatta as well, winning that grand final. But nevertheless, it was a great chat, and thank you very much for joining me today.
Good on you, Troy, and all the Para fans up Para. Good on you, mate. Cheers.
How you going, mate? Are you a Parrot Cave podcast listener?
I am, bro. It's a great podcast. Everyone tune in.
Go Parrot. Well, welcome back, and thank you for listening to Mark Bugden and his rugby league story. There was certainly some great yarns in there, some great stories about his time in the game playing for those three clubs, the Newtown Jets, the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs, and the club that I love, the Parramatta Eels. Certainly some great stories about that 84 grand final and also the 86 grand final as well, and the footy card story as well. And I am in total agreement with you, Mark. That is a very different footy card, and probably one that probably shouldn't be around. It should be an action figure, so of you in action. But anyway, it's out there now. It's a different footy card, that is for sure, and I'm sure people can get it. I think I've got it in the Parrot Cave as well anyway. So thank you very much, Mark, for coming on to the Parrot Cave podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for the chat. I really appreciate it. Now to the sponsors of the podcast, and as I said before, major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club in the club shop. Beau Cook from Loan Market, your local Penrith mortgage expert. Contact Beau today on 0401 213 236 and get in contact with him today for a free chat. See what he and his team can do for you, and let him know that you heard it here on the Parrot Cave podcast. Also, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty. If you're thinking of selling in the Glenmore Park or the suburbs in the Penrith LGA area, or indeed wanting to buy in this area, then contact Shannon, who is a 5-star real estate agent. You can contact him 7 days a week on 0421 588 445. BTZD Teamwear, the official clothing sponsor of the Parrot Cave podcast. You can get in reach with them and see their products online at www.btzd.com.au. Check out what they can do for you and your sports teams as well. Now, the Parrot Cave podcast merchandise, which is available now, $10 for a Parrot Cave podcast hat. You'll see me in all the videos wearing them. Very comfortable indeed. They look great. Price of only $10 plus postage and handling. If you haven't got yours now, get yours today. All you need to do is just message me on social media, the Parrot Cave podcast on social media, and order one through that way, or you can email the podcast on www.theparrotcavepodcast@yahoo.com and secure yours now. great Christmas gift, cheap Christmas gift coming up. Obviously, only a few weeks away now, so could be a great Christmas gift. What do we call it? The gift from Santa, Secret Santa. There we go. So you give one of the Para Cave podcast hat as a Secret Santa gift. Perfect. Also from BTZD Clothing, the polo shirts, the Para Cave podcast polo shirts for $25 each. And there is 2 large and 1 XL left in this first batch. So again, just get in contact with the Para Cave podcast on the social media channels, or email the podcast as well. I'll put up through the socials throughout the week a picture on them on those with the details anyway. So get in contact today and get your Para Cave podcast merchandise. Thank you very much for you, the listeners, for listening each and every week. I really, really appreciate it. So without you, I don't have a show. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, tell all your family and friends, and also subscribe to the podcast. So as soon as any podcast throughout the week drops, you'll be able to listen to it. And once again, I really appreciate the support. I'm also on YouTube as well, so check out YouTube, the Para Cave podcast. Any Zoom videos that I do, I usually post on YouTube, and any little video shorts as well will go up there. So there's about 60 odd videos in there, so really appreciate that support as well. If you could subscribe to that one and check out the videos if you want to watch the podcast chats instead of listening to them. Thank you very much. Have a great week as best you can. The Pacific Championships final is on this weekend, so probably the last football for the season, so enjoy that one. Make sure you follow the podcast on the social media channels for some interesting content and to see who's coming up both on the podcast, and you can find that, the Para Cave podcast, on Instagram and Facebook as well. Thank you very much for listening. But to sign off the show, and as I always say, the Para Cave podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Para!
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. See you next time.